Hello, Purple Sage parents. My name is Becky Mozillo, and I'm one of the 5th grade teachers at Purple Sage. And I just wanted to take a second to walk you through a little bit of what our math instruction in 5th grade looks like, and at Purple Sage in general. So back when you and I were in school, we were very used to doing one style of problem over and over and over again, drill and kill as they call it. So we're rapidly moving away from that and towards an instructional strategy that really teaches students to be deep thinkers and be reflective and be mathematical problem solvers. So I wanted to show you what a typical problem of the day would look like in 5th grade. Now we'll focus on solving 1 to 2 problems a class period, and this part of our math block usually takes about 40-45 minutes, and that includes the problem setup, working the problem, and then a share out piece at the end where students get to share their strategies with their classmates. So let's get started on this. So first thing, we'll have students start by reading the question. So this one is, Sarah and Tony are fighting over sandwiches at the picnic. There are 1 2/4 sandwiches left. If they share the sandwiches equally, how much will each person get to eat? So a real-world example of when you might actually see fractions, especially if you go to family reunions, that sort of thing. So the first thing we're going to have students start with is called a KWC chart. So KWC chart is a tool that lets students think deeply about the problem before they even attempt to solve it. Okay, so let's start with this K column. K stands for what do we know? So what is some information given in this problem that we know for certain? For example, Sarah and Tony are fighting. Okay, Sarah and Tony. That's 2 people. That's something we know for sure. Those are the 2 people we are focusing on in this problem. So I'll go ahead and add that. 2 people. All right, something else I know for certain. We are sharing 1 2/4 sandwiches. So there's 2 people, but there's 1 2/4 sandwiches. Be patient with me. This is my first time using the screencasting software, so we will work through it together. Whoops. All right, so we've got 1 2/4 sandwiches. We've got 2 people. And then something else I know for certain is that they're sharing these sandwiches, right? They're not making these sandwiches. They're taking sandwiches that are already there and they are sharing them. So I'll go ahead and add that. And that'll be important pretty soon. Okay, the middle column on our chart is the W column, and it stands for what do we need to find out? Essentially, what is the question asking? So I could very well take this sentence here that ends in a question mark and copy it down, but the way we prove that we really understand what the question wants from us is by putting the question in our own words. So this one says, if they share the sandwiches equally, how much will each person get to eat? So I'm going to rewrite that. And I'm going to say, how much of the sandwich will Sarah and Tony each get if they share? All right, so I've restated the question. I'm quite certain that I understand what that question is asking. So now I'm ready for the very last column, which is C, special considerations. Now this looks different for every problem and really for every person solving a problem because we all approach the problems in different ways. So I typically look for things here like, is there distractor information? Is there an operation I have to look out for? Are there units we're working with? So for example, in this problem, it's important to note that they are sharing the sandwiches equally. Right? One person, sharing can mean a lot of different things, but in this case, one person is not going to get more than the other person. And that leads me to a very interesting thing. The only operation I have that lets me take a big group of something like sandwiches and share them equally is division. So I'm fairly certain that at some point in this problem, I'm going to be using division. There are many other things you could add here. For example, I could add that we're working in fractions. That's something to consider. I could note that we're working in fourths. That's our particular unit for this fraction. Often the students will come up with considerations that don't immediately come to my mind, which is excellent because that means they're thinking very deeply and being very reflective. And really every person's considerations chart is going to look just a little bit different. The very last thing I wanted to make sure we got into this C column is that they have more than one sandwich, but less than 2 sandwiches. And why is that important? Well, if they had 2 sandwiches, this problem would be really easy. Sarah gets 1, Tony gets 1, we're done. But we know that's not the case. They have less than 2 sandwiches. So there's no way for me to give each person 1 sandwich. They're each going to be getting less than 1 sandwich. So they have between 1 and 2 sandwiches. So each person gets less than 1 sandwich. I don't know what that amount is yet, but I know that's what I'll be finding out. All right, now that I've made my KWC chart, I am quite certain that I understand this problem, and I'm ready to get started solving it. So I'm looking at this problem, and I'm saying, oh my goodness, in 5th grade, I haven't learned the algorithm for dividing fractions yet. I don't know how to do 1 2/4 divided by 2. Oh, but we can figure it out because in 5th grade, fractions are our best friend. So we're going to go ahead and just draw this out. We do a lot of work with fractions this year, so a picture is always a great place to start. So I'm going to start by drawing 1 rectangular sandwich here and 1 rectangular sandwich here. So they're pretty close to the same size. Let me adjust it just a little bit. Okay, so there's my sandwiches. And I know that I have 1 whole sandwich, right? This is 1 whole sandwich. There we go. This is 1 whole sandwich. But this one is not a whole sandwich, right? It's only 2/4 of a sandwich. So I'm going to show that by adding in, some fraction pieces. Okay, let's get these all the same color. There's 1. Okay, and then I'm going to add 1 more line. I sincerely appreciate your patience with this. Like I said, this is a new system, but we're hoping that this can help parents feel more comfortable with the methods that we're using, and you feel like you can participate with your kids while they are working on math homework. All right. I'm sure there was an easier way for me to go about this, but that's all right. Okay, so I've got 1 2/4 of a sandwich. And I know, because I'm very good with my 4th grade unit fractions, that 4/4 makes up this whole, and then I have 2/4 here. So what I can do is I can use this picture to start solving this problem. All right, I'll go ahead and add these fourths in here. Now, if Sarah and Tony are sharing, the easiest thing for me to do is just go Sarah, Tony, Sarah, Tony, Sarah, Tony, and we'll see when we run out of sandwiches. All right, so I'll give 1 to Sarah, 1 to Tony, 1 to Sarah, 1 to Tony, 1 to Sarah, and 1 to Tony. Okay, I've run out of sandwich pieces, so now I'm just going to double check that each person has the same number. 1, 2, 3 for Sarah, 1, 2, 3 for Tony. Okay, good. They both have the same number of pieces. All those pieces are about the same size. So let's figure out how much that is. These sandwiches were cut into fourths, right? So each one of these squares represents 1/4. So Sarah has 1/4 right here, 1/4 right here, and 1/4 right here. All right, I am excellent at adding unit fractions because we learned this is a 4th grade skill that our students rock at, so I'll count them up. I'll go 1, 2, 3 fourths. Okay, and I know Tony has 3 fourths also because he has 1/4, 2 fourths, 3 fourths. So I think I've answered my question. Let's go back and check. How much of the sandwich will Sarah and Tony each get if they share? Oh, they'll get 3 fourths each because they've shared the sandwich equally. So you can see that even without knowledge of the standard algorithm for dividing fractions, I was able to perform the operation 1 2/4 divided by 2. And I was able to arrive at it with minimal help, right? Because I can draw a picture and I can cut things into unit fractions. We combined a lot of skills that I've built up over the last 2 years of studying fractions, and I'm able to do division even though I don't know the standard algorithm yet. And this is really the goal of our problem solving, is to give students the tools to attempt problems even if they haven't yet mastered the standard algorithm, or even if they haven't yet learned the standard algorithm, because it gives them an opportunity to become better problem solvers. Now, ultimately, students will be solving this 2 ways. So if I were sitting in a 5th grade math class at Purple Sage right now, I would be getting my paper ready, drawing another little box here, and solving this a second way. Maybe I turn 1 2/4 into 4/4. Sorry, little brain malfunction there. 4/4 and 2/4. Okay, I see that's the same thing as 6/4. And I know that I can write 6/4 as the sum of unit fractions. So I could do 1/4. Go ahead. Oops, so sorry about that. I could do 1/4. Plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, 6 times, right? And then I could start divvying those up into groups. So ultimately, I would be solving this 2 ways. And the purpose of solving it 2 ways is just to expand the students' bank of strategies. So if they do encounter a problem they don't feel confident about, they have a number of ways that they can access it, and gives them a greater opportunity to be successful in math. So I hope that offers a little bit of insight into what our problem-solving method looks like at Purple Sage. Students will work on these problems almost daily, not every single day, especially at the beginning of the unit or towards the end of a unit. You might see a little bit of variance there, but it really is teaching our students to be deep thinkers, to be reflective, to be problem solvers. So if you ever have any questions, or you ever want to see your child's problem solving folder in between the times that they're being sent home, just let a teacher know. We'd be happy to send them. If you have any other questions, let us know. Thanks for watching.